What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for tuning in as always. If you've listened this far, you're about 5 seconds in. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or wherever you're listening. Please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. I appreciate it. Like this video and all that good stuff. And if you really like it, leave us a review. Okay, today I have my homeboy Shafik on the show. Shafik works for Diamond Supply Co. out of LA. He is in international business relations, whatever that means, but he will explain it on the show. He's just an all-around good guy. He's really into vintage, photography, art. Yeah, lots of good stuff in this episode. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Vintage clothing by the rack, yeah. Just check out my Insta, how you gon' argue with that? Everything you see, I manifest. I'm an architect, I think I'ma run it back. We got vintage clothing by the rack. Just check out my Insta, how you gon' argue with that? Everything you see, I manifest. I'm an architect, I think I'll have some of that.
All right, we're on, Shafik. Thank you for coming on the show, dude. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's like actually the first podcast I'm ever doing, so.
That's sick. Well, I'm glad it could be mine, dude. It's gonna be a good one.
Thanks so much.
So we've known each other for quite some time. We probably met at the Rose Bowl, right?
You know what? I'm not sure if we met at your store, but I've been going to Vancouver since like 2006, 2007. Yeah. But that's how long I've been at least like following FS and Frank. And I was obviously following way before that, but that's when I was going to Vancouver for the first time, went to Whistler, went to the store. I'm sure there might've been some interaction already at that point, but then we just started seeing each other a lot more at like Rose Bowl.
Yeah. That's wild that you were going up there that long ago, dude. Okay, so that's like a wicked segue. We need to know what your job title is. So you work for Diamond Supply Co. And I actually don't even know what you did before that. So tell us like what you do at Diamond and then like what led you to work for Diamond.
Yeah. So I worked for a bunch of distribution companies in Europe. Local brand manager for various brands in skateboarding, even snowboarding, streetwear, classic skate companies. And we were running like a couple of retail spots over there. And I was basically the liaison between the US, the brands, and Europe in the certain like Scandinavia where I was living before LA. Yeah, then from there, like just kind of like what happened was we were representing brands like DVS and Maddox and Lakai. Diamond started licensing shoes through Podium, who was a distributor for DVS, Lakai, and Maddox. So through that, I met Nick, I met Sean, Lumbo at that time, like all the Diamond dudes. And we just kind of like clicked, you know, Nick's Lebanese, I'm Lebanese. And like, we're all like super into skateboarding. We're also into like other stuff. Yeah. So like, we're like, oh, we can talk about sneakers. We'll talk about music. We'll talk about, you know, various other things and like art and like music and all kinds of different things. And we just kind of like clicked. And at that point, they were just kind of like starting to blow up like on a bigger scale, even though we'd been in business for like a super long time already.
So what year was that?
2007, maybe. Okay. 2008. And at that point, they didn't really have any, that was like going around for like 3-4 years. And then like around 2010, they didn't really have anybody doing international business for them. And like at that point, those were all like my coworkers. So I knew all the distributors from all over Europe, Asia, because, you know, even the Vancouver mission I was on, that was for Special Blend, I think. So we went to Whistler for a sales meeting and like,
nice.
we're all just hanging out and like, you know, partying and like, working hella long days, and like we're all like, you know, super tight knit together. They didn't have anybody in international business. So like, hey, Shafik, like you kind of know all these people. You're gonna know like what's going on like everywhere else in the world. Could you help us out? I was like, hell yeah, like super down for that. At that point, I was living in Helsinki, Finland. Like I loved my job over there. Had a great group of people to work with, but it's just like that was kind of like top of the pyramid. There's no way to grow, so it was like a natural progression to like make the move.
So were you born in Finland, or were you born in Lebanon?
So I was born in Helsinki, in
Okay.
Finland. So my dad's from Lebanon, my mom's from Finland. You know, obviously Lebanon has like a very not such a great history with all the civil wars and stuff. So like all my family from Lebanon, they're like all over the world. I have Lebanese family like in the U.S., Australia. My dad's in Finland. There's this all over the place. So like when I was like 2 years old, we moved to Australia for a couple of years. We're trying to like, you know, stay there for a little bit. But we moved back to Finland. And then from there, like we always just kept going back and forth with Finland and Lebanon.
Okay.
So I always like had this like, you're not Finnish or you're not Lebanese or you're not this. Like always a little confused little kid, you know?
And a little mixed identity. Yeah, no, I get
Yeah.
that, dude. So when you
But
look at
it's
where you
cool.
are right now, like in Diamond and in the States, living in LA, you're like involved sort of in quite the scene there. I mean, I don't want to call it a scene, but like
Culture,
yeah, the
I
culture.
guess.
There you go. Looking back from when you were a kid, like is this kind of like a dream? Like is this what you would have dreamed of as a kid, being a skater in Finland, like what you wanted to do?
Yes and no, but at the same time, like I wasn't even like dreaming of, I don't know if my dreams and my capacity was even like that I could go somewhere and do something on like this level, or that was even possible. I felt like I was always like growing up to being like, hey, you go to school, you get education, you get a regular ass job, and that's why you just kind of like you just do. That's like
The system, man.
like yeah, like my dad's a chef, my mom's like a kindergarten teacher, and like I just come from a family where like it's not like expected to like leave the country and like do these things and like, but they'd be super supportive obviously with everything I've been doing, and I never envisioned this. It's just like I was in the right place at the right time, and I just like worked super hard. That's all it is. Like I was always that dude who was like, you know, super down to put in heavy work, stay long days, whatever it took to like get the job done, and just coincidentally things just happen.
Yeah, it's rad, man. You know, you and me, like we said, we've known each other for a long time. I look up to
Yeah.
you and I appreciate where you are in the business. And you're like one of the few people who I know on a level where like I call you often when I have like something I want to talk about as far as like brand building and you know this, but I'm just saying for the listeners, like Frankie is a vintage company, but also a brand. We've like kind of like meshed it there, right? So
Yeah.
we're trying to build it more as a brand. And like, I don't know a lot of people in the business on your level who are in companies to the size of Diamond. You know, I know you, I know a few other people, but I always appreciate when you come through with the advice because you always kill it. You always hit the nail on the head, man.
Well, I always feel like, you know, you guys, you know, help me out whatever I need. So like always super down to support you guys, and like it's just friendly advice, and like luckily I've, you know, have been able to help you guys out. So always super down to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rad, man. I appreciate it. So exactly what is your title then at Diamond? We haven't even got into that.
So my official title is Global Business Development, but what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean? You know, we're still a pretty small company at the end of the day. Like, you know, it's under 50 people. It's like our like tight group that we do a lot of decisions. It's like 5-6 people, and it's just kind of like we all wear a lot of hats. And even like I look at like my own skill set, I feel like I'm kind of, you know, I'm like kind of good in a lot of things. I'm not like great at one thing. I'm like kind of okay in like a lot of different things. So, you know, we all do a lot of different things, and I think that's where it comes down to. I'm sure you know about it because like you own a company, so you can't be like, hey, this guy does just that. No, like you're gonna have to kind of like do a little bit of this, a little bit
Big
of
time,
that,
man.
you
And
know.
that
So
that
like
comes up
one day,
sometimes, I feel like a lot now in business, because people get hired for something, and if they don't know when they're getting hired, like we might call on you for some random thing. Like you got to be ready to like step
yeah,
out of shipping and like go maybe like grade some
exactly,
clothes or do some other thing, or like we need you at an event one weekend. So I like make sure people are ready for that now, because like for
yeah,
your and my generation, I think it's more kind of like how we just are brought up and we're ready for that, and we're built to put in the hard work. But I feel like um I don't know, I don't want to get into the millennial thing, but I feel like some people don't, they
yeah.
don't. It's harder now with the new generation.
Well, like let's keep you as an example. Like you're probably like you're the janitor, you're the HR, you're like the CEO. So you kind of have to do a lot of those things when like the company is a certain stage, and like
100%.
I think it's cool too because like a lot of my coworkers who I work with, like I can kind of trust them. I know like, hey, when it comes to like this X, Y, and Z, and like I could trust them to like help us out. They're not gonna be those dudes who are like, oh, that's not my job. And then you know what? That dude who actually is gonna be one of those guys who are ready to put in work, shit's gonna fall on his back, So like
Yeah. And then he's the one that's gonna move up the ladder, man, and like you're gonna keep
exactly.
like you did. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. So, I see you do so many things. You're like traveling all over the world all the time. Obviously, that's part of the international business. But what's the day to day for you, man,
On the work level, or just like in general?
on the work level?
Um, well, right now, like obviously with everything going on in the world, like a lot of retail shut down. So we're kind of planning for the future. So I do a lot of the special projects with the brand and work on a lot of future development. So give an example, like tomorrow I have a bunch of calls with some of our collaborative partners, like, Warner Brothers or, Disney. We're starting a new company under Diamond as well. So we have some, phone calls regarding kind of building the website up and e-com stuff. And
Can you
what
speak
else?
on that, or is that still early stages?
On what?
The other company you're starting.
I guess I can kind of shine a little bit of light on that. It's kind of like something outside of streetwear in a way, whereas in like we have a small group of people. Obviously, like Nick's super involved, being the founder of the company, but also we're this is completely different. So we are starting like an artist licensing company, whereas in like artist management, like product development side of things. So let's say like how would I describe it? Like let's say we're still working on our elevator pitch, as you can tell. So imagine like I think a good example is like Complex Con, like Murakami. Like
Yeah.
how well has Murakami transferred his artwork into product? And there's a lot of artists out there in the world who, they want to focus on doing art. They don't want to see if like, hey, is this coffee cup this size, or is it this size, or is the artwork sit there right? And like that's kind of like, we're product people, and we want to kind of enable a lot of artists in the world who haven't touched any product at all.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like building something on that side.
You did mention this to me a while ago. I think that's a wicked idea. And I think
Yeah,
it's,
we're super hyped on that. Like we have a good group of people together, and we're super hyped on it.
and a lot of artists probably are looking outside the box to make other streams of revenue, but like you said, they don't want to be like having to handle all that stuff themselves. And just connecting the dots for them, man. It's a great business idea, if you ask me.
Like everything started for us kind of at an idea level. We're in Barcelona, and we went to the Picasso Museum. We had some euros in our pocket, like amazing body of work, and like we looked through the show, and at the end we get to the gift shop. We got the euros burning in our pockets. We're like, okay, let's look around. What are we gonna get? What are you gonna get? What are you gonna get? And like after like maybe like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, we all met outside the museum. Like nobody copped anything. So at that point, we're like, why didn't we? The show was amazing. there was so many different product categories. Like it wasn't like a tote bag and a coffee cup, you know. They
Yeah.
had like pillows and blankets and like home accessories and school stuff and pencils, but nothing really like that kind of talked to us. So we felt like there's some sort of a gap with the narrative with the traditional like museum product or artist merchandise, and something that we can add something to it, or at least to our generation and a lot of huge group of consumers that's out there. So we felt like that's something that needs to be done, and it took us a minute to kind of get the right people in place and like kind of get the concept on point. But I think like 2020 is a good year to get all that ball rolling, and I think like on the merch level, like look at music right now, like
Yeah.
everybody's doing merch. It's so crazy. Like everybody's probably selling more albums through t-shirts than actually albums, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the digital downloads, that's it.
So how has the business been affected from COVID, man? Like what's changed so far for you guys?
Well, one of the key things, obviously, like a lot of our retailers are closed. So if our retailers are closed, we can't ship product to them. So that's kind of, you know, obviously a key thing. And some of our vendors are at like minimum capacity. Some of our vendors that we work with, they luckily manufacture some like protective gear, some PPE products, some face masks and stuff. So they can be open. So we've actually we're still kind of like on calendar. We just did a release 420 with Wiz Khalifa, and we're shipping that product right now. So like we're happy about
Nice.
stuff like that still like happening, and it
Yeah.
was just online release. And when retailers do open up, they're gonna get that product too. So, but we still have some retailers that are online, and those are actually doing pretty well. So if the online retailers are, you know, be successful in this space, like we actually scale back a little bit in our online retailers. So like the ones that actually do have our product online right now, like they have a little bit more room to shine. So it's not
Nice.
so much saturated. But yeah, we're like kind of obviously trying to adapt to everything that's going on, but also at the same time we're trying to help as much as we can with like local communities. Like I think we were one of the first kind of companies who released their own mask out there, at least that I saw. From, you know, a week two later, a lot of companies started doing that. But I felt like the speed to market, which was the key thing. And like even from the point where, you know, from Amazon delivery, like shit's like a month out. We were shipping in the same week, you know. So we want to make sure at that point, like you go to any store, and at least in LA, like you can't even find masks anywhere right now,
Yeah, no, it's crazy,
you
man.
know.
We
So
yeah,
trying to get back as much as we can.
I was shopping on Amazon yesterday, and like they're sold out of everything I needed. And I think
Yeah,
they cut Amazon Prime. Yeah, I saw you when you guys dropped the mask. That was super quick.
yeah. And we gave like, I think every mask we sold, we gave like 2 or 3 away. So
Nice.
we have this charity we work with, so trying to give back to the less fortunate and the people in the forefront of everything, like medical workers and grocery store people and whoever we can on that side. So I think,
Nice.
you know, we were able to give away like probably like over 6 or 7,000 masks just to give away. So like that was like,
Solid.
it was pretty big impact.
Yeah. How long do you think this, like, we're basically kind of in the middle, or like maybe the tail end of lockdown? It's hard to say what's going to happen. We're like 6 weeks, I guess we're 6 weeks in right now, almost, right? Of like
Something like that. I
since
feel like it was
this.
like, I feel like when NBA stopped,
Yeah,
everything stopped.
totally. That was
That was
like,
like March 8 or March 11 or something like that.
yeah, so that made it like so real for everyone, right?
Hmm.
Um, you think when they open up, say they open up in June and we're like, okay, like stores can open up again, you think there'll be a heavy, like, people still rocking masks, and like, don't you think they'll keep up the shields in the grocery stores? And you think like,
For sure.
yeah,
For sure. Like I think like I've been comparing the mask thing right now. It's kind of somewhere between like the fidget spinner and the dad hat. That's
Wow.
like, dudes in the corners like slanging them. It's like it's a way for you to express yourself.
Yeah.
It's like everybody has them. It's like and I think like even like some airlines announced a couple of days ago that it's mandatory. You can't board their flights starting like May something to you have to have a
Yeah.
mask on. So it's
Yeah.
definitely going to be in like the picture. So that's definitely like a product category that even we're not a brand that's built by trends or anything. That's kind of like where we base off. We're kind of like environmentally neutral, try to be like not involved in these trends. We're not basing our business around it, but definitely I think it's going to be like, you can probably see it just based on like Instagram ads that you're getting from like random companies. And like my dry cleaner, I got my mask that I was wearing today like from my dry cleaners. My dry cleaner was selling masks
So
like
random, dude. I mean, some people are just grasping at straws to make a buck, right? So they're hustling it.
there's definitely so many millionaires off this thing.
Oh, dude, it's like it all of a sudden, if you, I was like, I thought about this in an economic standpoint when this all started, because I'm like, this is so crazy. They just shut down the economy, which it wasn't as, I mean, it's pretty bad, but it wasn't as bad as I originally thought. But it was like all the money in the world, instead of like flowing in all these tributaries out to all these different people, just started funneling into like a few people. Like
Yeah.
the banks, all the big boxes like Walmarts and like Home
Hmm.
Depots and stuff, and whoever else was able to stay open. It was like, and nobody else was getting money for like that first period.
Yeah. But like, for example, the LA mayor just announced today that they bought 24 million masks and they're selling it at no like profit to hospitals and giving them away and whatever. But like somebody probably made a little bit of money on that 24 million units. So
Oh,
like
dude.
even if you're making like 10 cents, like people coming like overnight millionaires off this.
Yeah, a friend of mine is she does production for brands in China. Like she's a middleman, a broker, I guess you'd call it, right?
Yeah.
And everything shut down for her. So she's like, what am I gonna do? So she started like contacting all the hospitals, and she basically did that same thing, like, small margin, but started supplying people because they couldn't get it. And there's red tape. So like you have to have somebody bring it in for you,
Yeah.
because they have like regulations where they can't get it themselves.
Yeah. I heard a lot of like Chinese governments is making sure the factories are obviously they want to make sure they get what they need. So if the factories take over like the N95s that everybody wants right now, like everybody can get the KN95s, there's like abundance of those, but then like the N95s, like it's just like government or hospital use. And if your factory manufactures those and the China government takes over that factory, there's what can you do at that point,
That's the beauty of communism.
Yeah.
They just come in and take it.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, right away, like my factory that we produce with in China for Frankie hit me like that first week, and they're like, "You want max? We got 150,000 units ready to go." And I'm like, I don't really know what to do with these 150,000 masks, uh,
Yeah.
but they're back in production. Seems like
Hmm.
they're all full tilt over there.
Yeah. I think like China is about maybe like 80% capacity right now. And a lot of those factories like they reverted to like I just heard like the Zara factories and stuff like that, like these are like huge factories, like 70 different production lines, and like they're all just pumping masks away right now because what can they do? But I mean the next step from there is like it's probably going to be some like fabrics shortages, and like the fabrics are going to go up because like the guys who right now they have the fabrics for the mask, but like if everybody wants to make masks out all of a sudden, like where's the fabric coming from?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see some weird economic like fallout. Obviously, we are, but like there's gonna be stages where this trickles down and hits the economy in different times. I think because you know we're looking at so like from what I've heard for big brands like Tommy, Polo, all these like majors, right?
Hmm.
They've they took delivery on spring, and then a lot of them had canceled summer because they're like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or sorry, no, they were already on delivery for summer, but they've some of them have canceled fall.
Hmm.
And this is I heard this from like a industry person I deal with in Amsterdam, and it's going to be this weird, like, empty shelf scenario in the fall time in a lot of stores and malls and things like that.
Yeah.
So they're going to be hurting from that. I mean, there's opportunity for some people who are going to be able to have product in those times as well, right? So, like, it's just a shifting thing, and
Yeah.
see how
I feel like it's you know, a lot of times like we look at our business in general, like the people who a lot of times they buy product, like, well, obviously, like from a vintage standpoint, Tommy's and Polos, like if you see something you've been looking for the past 15 years, you're gonna get it. It doesn't matter like what's happening in the world, like what's your, like, you're probably gonna get it, you know? And luckily, like our brand, we don't sell really t-shirts to people who, hey, I need a t-shirt. It's because, like, hey, they want that specific t-shirt. So thinking about like Tommy and Polo, like these companies, a lot of their business probably comes from like the outlets or comes from different tiers of like the Macy's and like department store business. And like department stores are probably the first ones to kind of cancel their orders and stuff and moving them around. And like, that's how I'm kind of like seeing it. So I feel like for the companies that even your business is built around kind of like the hype in a way,
totally,
where I feel like it's definitely like people are probably not going to buy in the same capacity, but if the product's meaningful, it's impactful, it has like, you know, a narrative and the story and like a personal tie, people are going to buy into it.
Yeah. I've noticed, well, we've actually been crushing it. Like, I'll just say,
Yeah,
we've been
that's what I'm saying. Like,
we're crushing it. Actually, this month, we still have 4 days left of the month, right?
Yeah.
And we broke
3 or 4.
I already broke the record of our best month ever.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Which is crazy, but I just want to talk about that for a second because you're right. People are still snapping, man. And like I've heard, like you said, your online retailers are doing well, right? And there's a reason for that. And it's obviously a few things, I think, because people are home, right? People aren't out. People got those stimulus checks. If you're like living at your parents' house and you got a $2,000 stimulus check, you don't pay rent, you're like, I'm going to buy some gear, right?
Yeah.
And the other factor I think plays into that is like shopping makes people feel good. And buying product and getting product and receiving it and opening the package and trying it on makes people feel good. So in a sense, it's like providing like this therapy for people at home who aren't doing much, and it's making people happy in the end.
Yeah. There's I can't remember, was it a tech talk or was it like some video kind of looking into like what kind of different kind of feelings the human body go through when like the chemicals the human body produces when it like gets excited and certain things. And like they did a bunch of tests on kids, and some of the kids, like when they watch like these unboxing videos of toys, like the actual watching the video can create as much as those like chemicals are in the body, like rather than like actually playing with the toy. So like it's crazy. And it's the same feeling with like probably online shopping too, you know? It's actually just the feeling of doing the shopping. Like when you get the item, you're like, cool. But you know, it's just right, the feeling like press and enter, sending the money and like, I got it, I got this, you know?
The rush is addictive, man.
Yeah.
And you don't even know it is, but it's like, you're right. It's the chemicals that are released, like doing things like that, like anything that makes you hype and makes you like happy or excited is the same drugs released as like when you actually do drugs, right?
Yeah.
That's why drugs are addictive. So the drugs just give you like an abnormal level of it. But I actually watched something on this yesterday about training your brain, because now we're so overstimulated with the release of those drugs because we're like getting rewarded all the time with our social medias and stuff. So like, you can take breaks from it so that feel it again, just like any drug or whatever, you know?
But yeah, like, you know, I think there's like a actual explanation behind like why these unboxing toy videos are so addictive and like so crazy these days. There's actual, you know, explanations behind those.
Yeah. And like it explains the whole phenomena with mystery boxes now, right?
Yeah.
Because that's like you get excited when you buy it, but then you get super excited when you get to open it, or you get super disappointed. But either way,
yeah,
you're gambling with emotions. And
yeah.
no, it's funny, man. I want to know, because you get to travel around. Diamond's like in the scene. The skateboard scene is wild. The streetwear scene is wild. Like, do you have any memories of really wild times you've had, like throwing Diamond parties or just with the business? Because I know you guys host a lot of events and stuff.
Parties is like that's a whole different podcast, I think, you know. But you know, obviously there's great memories, there's great events, and like there's definitely some great highlights there. And like we've had crazy time. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, like you know, where it has been, if it's like in Paris or Vegas or wherever. Like the most important thing is like you're with the people you care about, the people you like, you mess with. And I think like, you know, even me being in LA right now, and like, let's say I get anything from back home from Finland, or like somebody sends me like peanuts from or some whatever it might be, like they just taste so good when they're so far away from, like, so when you like run into the homies in Paris, it's like, oh, like it's just like so cool, and like you feel like home. And so it's really about the friends at that point.
Yeah.
But there's definitely been some like epic times.
The grass is greener on the other side. I can't wait to get back there over there. And you, for one, know it because you travel so much, dude. So
yeah, I mean, like some of the, like, you know, we've had a couple of really epic events in like Paris Fashion Week, and we did some, like maybe was it 2018? We did the Puma thing, the Puma collection. I think that was like a second or third one. Like we shot all the content in Dubai. That was like a whole crazy experience, because we got to, you know, tap on a little bit into like the global budget, and like it was really like they actually invested a lot into it. So like we you probably appreciate it. They put we like the scene was kind of like, we want to have something like elevated but still kind of skateboarding, and like so we created this scenario in Dubai where we put a mini ramp like literally at middle of the desert. So like those were some of the moments where we're like, yo, this is so crazy. We're in like Dubai, and like there's camels, like random camels just going on the dunes, and like we're just like on a mini ramp over there, and it's literally like so damn hot.
Yeah.
But like some of those moments are like you kind of trip on stuff. You would have probably appreciated a mini ramp too over there.
I bet, dude. I love a good mini
You got
ramp.
one in your backyard?
My neighbor has one 2 doors this way. It's like a 3-foot. Yeah, it's super chill. We're just about to actually.
That looks so fun.
He bought a new surface, so we're gonna resurface it in the next week or so, and then get
skate light or what?
I don't know if he bought skate light. I think he just bought more wood, to be honest. But
you should get skate light.
Yeah, it lasts forever, right?
Yeah.
So you guys did a Cameron party, right? Or a collection?
Yeah, we did a Cameron thing. It was for Purple Haze 2. He's like new album that came out. Or like there was kind of like 2 waves on that thing. So first we kind of celebrated the anniversary of the original Purple Haze, and then we did another event in New York, which was kind of like celebrating the Purple Haze 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was like, man, I've never seen Diamond Store that packed. It was so many people.
Yeah, that event looked popping, man. I remember seeing
all so wild
stories from that night.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. Cameron's sick. He was like, oh, he's probably gonna do like 1 or 2 songs, but like, dude, he was on for a minute. I think he got excited too. Like, people were like, damn, it's got a lot of people here.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when you see musicians, and like, you know, seeing music live is the best, obviously, anyway. But sometimes shows can go either way. You know, if the musician isn't hyped up, it can go right. But when they get really hyped up, you're like, yo, that was it.
And like, okay, the artist was hyped up, but there was so many dudes like in the front. They were like, they looked like they were in like a punk concert. You know, it was not too far away from like a mosh pit, or not mosh pit, but like, you know, like they were like on it.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
So speaking of the mini ramp, you skate, obviously. That's why you're in this business.
That's how I kind of like got started into it. So like, long story short, It's got a skateboard from like my childhood friend. Um, in Finland, like the school system's super on point, and one parts of the school thing is like, hey, you gotta like we have to show these kids in school like how does work feel, and this is like when you're like 15 or 14, so like you got to figure out like, a lot of people go to like their parents' job or something. And I just like, I don't know, randomly, I was like, I'm just gonna go to the skate shop and ask if I can come, like, put some grip tape on boards, like get some shoes from the back and whatever. And like, I actually went there. I worked for like a week, and then I got like a school credit or something. And then they're like, hey, summer's coming up. If you need any like free boards, you just come here and slang some, put some grip tape on boards and like get paid on product. I was like, cool. And like at the same time, we're just skating every day. That's like the only thing we're doing. And and then I got my first skateboard probably like 12 years old, and
Do you remember
that's kind of like
it was what your first skateboard was?
Yeah, it was a Tony Ferguson girl board.
Nice.
It had like that like a bowling graphic, this black and white. Had like I think like Venture or Grand King trucks. It's like some chocolate wheels, something. I was super in like Mouse was like the first video. Like I remember like getting my first board and it was playing at the skate shop,
Yeah,
and then like
Rick Howard that skates through the trees and like they put wood. That's
yeah,
perfect, dude.
and just like the white VHS, I have that back somewhere back home, and like, dude, that was like my era. Like watching Trilogy, that's kind of like I grew up on all that. Like those videotapes probably like I'm surprised they don't pop.
I crushed that movie a lot, dude. We had that video. That video was sick. I mean, I'm
But
a
yeah,
little
that's
bit
kind of
older
like
than you, so like I have like
yeah.
my beginning was like the late '80s in skating, but that Mouse video played a big part for sure.
I have a cool little backyard pool documentary on Vimeo. I'm gonna send you after this. I don't know if you saw it, but I think you're gonna like it. Maybe you can put it on like some comments or something.
You made it?
No, I didn't made it. It's just
okay.
like a noodle documentary that just came out like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Nice.
I
So
think you might like it.
have you skated since lockdown?
No.
Are they even allowed? They're not allowing that. They filled the Venice Bowl with sand, right?
Yeah, that was just like, it's dudes in Venice, they just wanted to skate it, and like the city was over it, so they just like dumped it full of sand. But I mean, I cruised around a little bit, but I haven't like skated. But talking to some people, like if you're a pro, skate schools now 7 days a week.
Yeah.
When you normally can skate all the weekends, So, but there's a lot of good opportunities right now to go get some clips. But yeah, I haven't really skated too much. I've had some like back problems for the past like year. I'm finally starting to get over it, but like my skating has been very minimal.
What about like workout routine? You've been doing it? Just to preface it, I haven't been doing. I just started like 2 days ago, but I've been like putting on the weight.
Yeah, so I used to be like crazy about I had this routine where like Monday I play hockey, Tuesday we played basketball, Wednesday I went running, Thursday we skated at the office, Friday I had a hockey game, Saturday I went running and had a hockey game or something, and then Sunday I chilled, and next Monday I did it again. That was like my routine for the like probably like almost 2 years. And I had this like crazy herniated disc in my back. I was like, there was probably like 3-4 months I could not put my socks on. Like it was so brutal. I couldn't do anything. So now it's been about a year, actually like, 13, 14 months since that happened. And like now I'm finally starting to get over it. I have a pretty good gym in my crib, but I joined another gym where I could swim like properly laps. I started with that. I started doing cycling because I've run like marathons, and like I'm into running. I think like a good mental and physical exercise.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't run too much because the impact. So I started swimming, cycling, and like before this lockdown, I was like, oh, this is actually like, because at first they didn't close the gyms. So I was like, oh, sick. I have even more time to go work out now, but then they closed down the gyms and I was like, oh, damn, what do I do now? So I think February, I was clocking in, like, there's a couple of weeks I went like 9 times. I checked in like 9 times at the gym a week.
Sick, dude.
So like I was really on top of it. And like, even now, I just started running literally a couple of days ago. I started like kind of trying out. I wanted to, even like 15, 30-minute runs, trying to see how my back feels. And
Feeling all right?
it was doing okay. And I'm trying to get faster. I'm trying to get like longer runs and like slowly back into it. But definitely like when the gym opens up, I'm back on like the cycling and swimming, and probably like trying to shed a couple pounds off.
Yeah, dude.
The fridge is so close, man.
I know, dude. It's like Netflix and snacks, man. Especially that first week, the first 2 weeks or something, when you're like, you don't know how this is going to play out, and you're just like,
yeah, that's definitely like, I had the same thing. Like first couple weeks, like, dude, like binging stuff on Netflix and in the evenings and Hulu and like everything. Like,
yeah, big time, man. So I want to get into skating and fashion a little bit here. We've seen like streetwear and high fashion kind of like come together in the last, like, 5 years, I guess, where there's like not much.
I'd say almost like a couple years. She happened so quick.
Yeah, right. And it like was kind of progressing in that direction, but then it just like went where it's non-differentiating, and then you look at like streetwear is skateboarding at its core, right? Like it came from skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what's your thoughts on that, and like where do you see it going from here?
Well, I think like business in general is like we talked about earlier, how, people want special pieces that really talks to them. That's why I think like vintage is going to be a huge part of, or even general, it's like the upcycling thing, and just being environmentally cautious, and just more meaningful one-off pieces. Because why people went towards a luxury thing was like, it's expensive. So like a lot of stuff that, were limited were hype, but also the stuff that was expensive because it's not accessible for everybody, because you have to have money. Not everybody has money.
That kind of correlates with status and flexing.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, a lot of rappers were wearing like luxury stuff. So like kids, same how like you and me grew up watching skate videos. We wanted to dress like your favorite skater in the skate video. Like these kids, they want to dress like their favorite rapper in a music video. Like it just kind of goes hand in hand. And I don't, all these rappers want to wear like luxury stuff head to toe, like that obviously shifts the trend.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I feel like, even like you guys do with Frankie a lot of design work, from the design perspective, that like extracting is always more challenging than like adding onto it stuff. So like if you look at this, like traditionally what skateboarders wear, Dickies, jeans, t-shirt, simple stuff, flannels, stuff like that. It's kind of like timeless, camo, things that doesn't really go in or out. It's kind of like those staple pieces. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of where fashion is maybe going towards, where definitely like I saw Virgil tweet a couple, like maybe it was like in an interview that somebody quoted him or something. It was like, hey, like, I don't see that's a bad thing if people want to buy groceries with their money and not like another t-shirt that you got 30 of. And I think we've also talked about this at like, Rose Bowl, where like, do I need another t-shirt? No, I don't need another t-shirt.
Yeah.
But you definitely, you want a t-shirt that means something to you, or like it's somehow like relevant. You don't want to, obviously we all are all into fashion. We're all into clothing. We're all into this thing. So, there's different ways to express yourself. But I feel like from skateboarding, that it's always comes down to like the bare core of things. And it's like the simplicity. And then another aspect of, we always talk about skateboarding when it comes to kind of like the specialty thing. Like Lance Mountain skated in Jordans because it gave him ankle support. So there's always like that actual reason behind a technical functionality. Exactly. Like the functionality is, for a reason, like super, like, do we need more pockets in these cargo pants? No, but like people want to add on stuff, like there's dudes wearing, with like 18 pockets. Like, is that, but maybe like if you're climbing, maybe that is something you need to have.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of comes down to like, the necessities and kind of like the simplicity of things, and like just come from skateboarding. And I guess that just starts from like the fact that dudes are just broke and want to wear like the simple basic stuff that you can get from like the Dickies pants and like
True.
stuff like
That's
that.
why skateboarding is so cool too, because you can be a skater. You can get a deck, you can get a board for under a couple $100. You can just wear your clothes, you can go skate. It's like low entry, so it attracts like that kind of person, and it's accessible to everyone. You get interesting characters in it because of that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like,
well, I think that's always been like the beauty of skateboarding in general, because like even like our group when we were growing up, we were skating, wearing skinny jeans, only black clothing, and like listening to like death metal, and like this dude was like head to toe in like swishy gear, like big pants, and like this dude had like a white guy with like rastas and like stuff like that. Like we were all completely different, but we were all hanging out together. We shared the same passion, which was skateboarding. So like it didn't matter what music you're listening to, like what skin color, what religion, whatever it was, but we all shared the same passion, which was skateboarding. So like you really don't see that so much when it goes to like other things, when it comes to like, I don't know, let's say like soccer or ice hockey or a lot of some other sports or things, where I feel like skateboarding kind of engages with like so many different styles, and you don't really care about all those things.
For me, skating, like, it's funny you started talking about that. Your crew sounds rad, by the way. Your crew is like very diverse and very awesome.
The videos were funny.
But yeah, like it made me feel like I was pretty introverted and like shy as a kid, and it made me feel like I belonged to something, like I always wanted to skate. Like, even more than like, it'd be like, people would be like, let's go hang out at so-and-so's house. And I'd be like, no, like, let's go skate, like, it just made me feel like part of something. And it was like, I don't really know what I would have done if I didn't skate all the time. And then we would all go party together, and we'd go do, and then it gave you something to like chat to your homies about at the parties. And it would have been
funny thing about this kind of clothing and skateboarding was like, I had memories when like, at one point I used to work at a skate shop, and this is like, I was a little bit older, dude. Like I was like head to toe in like the whatever clothes we're selling, like Aesthetics or some other brands, like just wearing like washed jeans, and like some of the gear might have been a little bit crazy at that time, but like, and I was a dude who might have like the Air Forces in their backpack, just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do later if I want to go somewhere or like whatever, I don't want to be busted skater shoes or whatever. But like these were giving me sometimes shit just because like, hey, like why are you dressed like that, or why are you like, I was like, bro, all my clothes I have on is from the skate shop that you skate for, so like that's like the beautiful thing about skating is like, hey, dude, this all the clothes I wear is from the shop that you skate for, or you're giving me shit because of like I want a clean white t-shirt or something, So like I think
they were giving you shit because you had the Air Forces, or they
no, it's because I might have like a clean t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Or like not be as like, even caring about having like the clean shoes or something,
Yeah.
Because like that wasn't like the thing or anything,
Interesting, man.
So I think that was kind of like a cool thing. Like there's so many different characters, and like still kind of like everybody can share like the same passion with that.
Yeah, big time. Back to fashion and trending or forecasting here rather than trending, but forecasting. Like, we're gonna see some weird stuff happen in the fall, like we talked about. But
Yeah.
what were some like some stuff that you were seeing brands putting out for fall? Like from what I've seen, and we had a meeting about this today, a little talking about like more technical outerwear seems to be like coming in pretty heavy, like, you know, really like talking about functionality, like really functional
Yeah.
outerwear and like that kind of functional look, right?
Yeah. I feel like, especially, well, after all this, people are going to be accustomed to like so much cozy clothes. I feel like people are going to want to keep wearing like comfortable and like they're like just like loungy, whatever. Like people want to be comfortable. I think comfort is something like comfort is a luxury, at least how I look at it. You know, especially coming from LA where, you know, there's not really any dress codes. Like you go to a lot of like cities in like New York, SF, like some of these cities might have pretty strict, like, hey, not in those pants type of situations. Where like LA, you can go pretty much in like sweatpants. Like I was just talking to my mom the other day. It's that's one of the positive things about this thing. You know, my parents are in Europe, so like we can actually keep better in touch during this quarantine, since like, you know, a little bit more time in our hands.
Yeah.
But we were just talking and I was just trying to explain like you can in LA you can wear a robe to a grocery store. Nobody's gonna look at you twice. You know? What if you do that in Vancouver? People don't think you're crazy.
It's true.
They're like, man, this dude's like crazy. But back to kind of like I see definitely like kind of like the more techie stuff happening, like the functionality. Like people want to have stuff and like, you know, whatever the inspiration comes from, it always has like some sort of a, you know, background into like a subculture at the end of the day that people are going to keep taking inspiration. But I think comfort is a huge thing, and comfort is a luxury that, especially after this, people are going to be accustomed to like being comfortable and comfortable clothes. They're going to want to keep wearing that shit.
Yeah, that's a good observation, man. It took me so long to come to grips with people wearing track pants all the time because it became so big. And I was like, this is weird. I still can't, like, I can't justify it. I have to like put on.
I have to say, like, you know, even like we have a super laid back office vibe, but like sometimes like I don't even feel comfortable going to work in like sweatpants. But like when this pandemic started and like I started realizing like, man, I have enough sweatpants. I was always in denim or chinos or whatever, and like now suddenly like, man, I gotta re-up on some of this gear.
I'm wearing sweatpants right now, man.
My whole setup has been like, I'll start the vibe here. Hotel slippers, basketball shorts, t-shirt, robe,
Nice.
Earl Grey tea, Miles Davis.
Yes.
That's been like the vibe. That's been the vibe.
Picture you created is beautiful, dude. Beautiful. I love it. We haven't even talked about your book. You just recently put out a book, right? Of photos.
Yeah. So I did a book in 2018. I did a book in 2019, and they're kind of like, you know, people talk about coffee table books. These are like coffee table zines, I guess.
Nice.
I just created that category. I was thinking about that today, like, because I'm working on my next book.
If you want to stand out from the crowd, man, you got to create your own category. You got no competition now.
Yeah, these are coffee table zines.
Nice.
That's like my category.
So good.
So I felt like I'd be taking a bunch of photos. I feel like at least I haven't really sold a lot of prints. I didn't really want to even start figuring that out. And even like from a technicality of just starting to print photos, and like it felt complicated to me. So, and also I wanted to make something that you can actually touch on, like from a standpoint where I feel like when you can physically touch something, like people appreciate, and it's gonna almost like leave a legacy where I can look like, hey, actually, like back in 2018, I made this. 2019, I did that. You can always upload stuff on Instagram and like it's gonna come and go, and like, but I wanted to have something physical that's kind of meaningful and kind of also shows like kind of like where I am in my kind of photography and like what am I interested in, like stuff like that. So I'm working on another one right now, and I have probably like I have photos probably for like 3 more books, and I want to build this like little series. Everyone like kind of have a little bit of theme. So the first book was kind of like around an intersection of kind of in a way of like skateboarding and just cityscape and basketball, where a lot of times like I feel like, you know, when we went, you know, looking for skate spots, and like a lot of times we kind of ended up on finding basketball courts or like seeing basketball courts, or like sometimes the skate spot was at a basketball court. So like I kind of wanted to create something with architecture and like something that's visually pleasing, and art, how does art interact with basketball courts. A lot of painted basketball courts now too, and I feel like that's, you guys have a beautiful one in one of the alleys in downtown Vancouver, where like, you know, those are same alleys where people, you know, shoot heroin in, and like people are scared to walk through them. But like now it has beautiful yellow and purple color and the basketball hoop. Kids are playing there because they like the colors. So like that's a great way for people to kind of get a little more comfortable, just at the colorway and like interacting with the art.
Yeah. Is that one in your book?
I'm pretty sure it is. I think it should be there.
So where can people get the book? Are those 2 original issues still for sale, or did you sell out?
So the first book is sold out. That's the basketball book. I still have some copies left on my second book, which is on that I wanted to kind of, you know, navigate. It's more about traveling. So again, both books are kind of like, the narrative is about traveling. So both books are kind of like my photos from all over the world. But the second one's kind of like architecture and traveling. So I wanted to create a book like how do you look at, like, let's say what does a school look like in Singapore versus what does a school look like in Barcelona, or like, you know, so it's kind of like exploring a little bit of those narratives. Like all the buildings in the book are like hotels, banks, schools, residential housing that we as human beings come across every day. But at the same time, the experience of the architecture can create such a different narrative on like the design perspective. Like how does the design look? And I think I actually have some photos from Vancouver on that book too. Nice. So, but yeah, like I think these are just kind of like continuous thing. And I think the next book I want to do is again something around the basketball and art kind of interacting with each other. Then I'm like a huge like aviation fanatic, so I want to do something in the aerospace. And then I have so many photos just on the architectural side, so I might do something on that, or have something else on some other concepts I want to make.
You often take your drone up and get city shots, right?
I love doing that.
So is that illegal? Are you breaking the law?
I gotta say though, like it's not illegal in a lot of places. Like for example, in LA, there's a lot of areas where you don't have to worry about shit. But like just as a recent, I'll give you an example. A lot of times, even though there's no like, let's say I'm in a different country, like there's no, like when you fly the drone, like there's a lot of restrictions on areas. Let's say like an airport, you can't fly next to an airport because you don't, you know, that's naturally, right? So, but even if you would, or you cannot, it just doesn't take off. There's software to block that.
Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of, yeah. So there's a lot of like kind of yellow area on the map that kind of like yellow where, hey, you're kind of close to this, just to let you know, like, hey, there's this and that happening in this area, but you can still take off. So even if you're in a different country, like I've been stopped by the police in like Barcelona, where like I see the cop car coming to me and I'm like, oh shit, like I don't know what's gonna happen now. Like, am I going to jail, or am I, you know, is this chill, or what's gonna happen? But like luckily it was, hey, you can fly here, just take it down please. I was like, okay, cool. But you know, just recently downtown LA, for example, like I think I heard that they banned it, but you don't really see it on the maps or anything. But I've tried like not to really fly there anymore, but
I
like
just know because
you,
my homie was he did the Vancouver
I
fly.
heard downtown Vancouver you can't fly
Yeah,
anymore.
you can't do it. And this was early on, like when drones kind of were popping a few years back, and he did
Yeah.
he did like he was going to start this whole drone thing, and he did a promo video of Vancouver, like
Hmm.
all aerial shots, and I think they came after him through like him posting the video
Really?
about that. But Vancouver's like on another level. But
I feel
I
you.
love your shots. I love your photography. You often get
Thank you.
reposted by like Complex and other big sites for your amazing photos. So big up on that. People, you need to follow him on Instagram. One of my favorite accounts for sure, especially for artistic photography.
Yeah. One of the I gotta tell you this, like not too long ago, I was shooting some basketball courts in downtown, outside of downtown, not even like anything crazy. I'm not like super high or anything. Um, and I'm like done. I'm like done with the photos. I got my photos, beautiful sunset, awesome clouds. I'm like, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
about to bring the drone down and I see a helicopter coming. I'm like, fuck, okay, cool. I'm not like, I'm not high at all. But this helicopter like kind of like is flying super low and like starts like going in like cycles around me. And I'm like, oh fuck, it's fucking LED. I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like in a super open spot. I'm like in an open parking lot with like nobody there.
Yeah.
Where like holding this remote control thing, like I'm just holding my hands like, and then the chopper does a couple of loops. And next thing you know, they go on a speaker and they're like, put the drone down, put the drone. I was like, me?
You talking to me?
And then I'm like,
Start blowing
like I said,
up. They're like, you're on the news, Shafik. You're on the news.
I wasn't like my drone wasn't high at all. It was like it was super close to me. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And like, you cannot fly here. You cannot fly in downtown, whatever, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm having a conversation with a police helicopter right now.
That's wild. They must have had a really
But
boring day in LA because that just cost them like $1,000 just to tell you to put your drone down.
but yeah, like after that, especially like I try to like kind of limit a little bit or like be cautious on like in LA because like I said, it's not on the maps. You can't like you can fly however you want, but like that was just like a weird thing. Like I don't know how those cops even saw my drone. Like shit's so small and like they were going so fast, but like that just happened to me recently, and I was like, damn, that's really crazy. So I guess they're cracking on people here too, and like there's some places like Laguna Beach. I heard like they give fines to people.
Yeah.
I haven't got any fine at knock, knock, knock.
So what's your infatuation with aviation? Because I know you're like a big NASA fan and you often go to like, you often go there, right?
Well, I've gone to JPL, which is here in California. I think like my next like domestic mission is to go to Houston. I really want to go to see, and like I was kind of when I saw like they're launching first time, like NASA's launching like people into space again. I think it was like May something is coming up. It would have been so cool to actually go see the
Like,
launch.
social distancing is real. We're gonna send you to space.
Yeah, I mean like Florida don't really seem to be caring about that, but like, you know, some things that we've done here in Vandenberg Air Force Base. It's like a couple hours from LA, and they do all the SpaceX rockets from there. We drove up there a couple of times. It's so sick. It's so sick.
So
But if you think of like just from like my NASA and like this whole thing, like that's to me is aspirational. Like you cannot do that unless you're super fucking smart. You're super engineer, pilot, doctor, some sort of like that's aspirational to me. Like I actually spent for the past like maybe a week ago, I was watching like a bunch of NASA documentaries where there's a bunch of really good ones, like just the history ones, and like that's to me is aspirational because like hey, how many stylists do you know have went to space or influencers? Like you really have to be a smart motherfucker to go up there.
Yeah, no kidding. So what's your thoughts on SpaceX and Elon Musk and his whole plans?
I think it's cool. Like even looking at some of the plans to like, let's say the travel from New York to Hong Kong. So you kind of like go through the atmosphere. That makes everything so fast and convenient if they really pull that off. And looking at the rockets, like they seem pretty trustworthy. Like you think of like you see in the rockets when they just come down, all chill, sits
Yeah.
down there, lands. That's so crazy.
His rockets take off vertical, right? They go straight up.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
actually haven't seen it. I got to look it up. So they're
Yeah,
saying
they land, they take off vertically and they land the same way. This lands there.
wow. So his plan is to shoot people to space to travel from LA to Japan.
So how it works, they use the kind of like the rockets. Have you heard about that at all? Or have you,
Oh.
no? Okay, so what he's trying to do is it's basically a huge rocket. He's trying to build these like little islands, almost like let's say 30 minutes from New York. It's like a little platform, basically you take off. And from the trajectory, you fly into the atmosphere, same way you launch people into, I think like it's like 4 minutes to go to atmosphere or something like that. So you travel from like New York to Hong Kong, it's like 30 minutes or something. And outside of Hong Kong could be like something similar. I might be wrong with the time. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But there's like a similar platform in like Hong Kong, and could go through the atmosphere and the speed you get from like point A to point B in such a rapid speed, and it actually makes sense financially because yeah, you know, like crazy resources, but you can do how many of those like 30, you know, maybe like a couple hour turnaround flights you can do a day versus like you can only fly a 13, 14 hour plane one time a day from, you know, let's say like LA to Hong Kong. Whereas in these flights, you can just do multiple a day if you have a clientele, and like who wouldn't want to do that? That shit's crazy.
And eventually it would be affordable. It's like anything. The more they do it, the cheaper it'll get eventually. But
yeah, I think that just sounds like such a crazy, and I don't know if you're like get to the point where it's weightless, but if you're like have zero gravity when you get to experience that, like that was something pretty interesting.
if you had the choice or the opportunity, would you go to space?
100%.
100%.
I'm down to sacrifice my pandemic body here. Like this, they probably don't want this, you know, it's probably 15 pounds plus right now with everything going on here, but they probably are like, no, we don't need that guy. But if it comes to that point, I'm super down to go. Tomorrow, awesome. Like tomorrow.
I don't know if I'd go. That's kind of scary, man. When was the last time they actually sent some people?
What's scary to you?
I don't know. There's a period.
Well, you have family. You have family, so like obviously you like.
Yeah. Well, that like I used to get freaked out on flights a bit, but now I got over that. I don't know. I go through stages, I guess. I'm
just thinking like
the vastness. It's the vastness of space, and it's like getting away from Earth. I guess you see how small we are. I mean, we are small and insignificant when you start to get into this discussion, but. I mean, I guess I'd go.
But if you think of like, I don't know, like I think that's just kind of like so crazy that even think about that, like you or me it's like in our reach probably within 10 years or however long just to like book a ticket and go.
And that's just going to be the normal thing at a certain point.
Because if you think of how fast all that shit happened and developed. Like one of the documentaries I just watched last week, I think it was like Discovery Channel. They talk about the space race. It's like a 6-episode thing. It's super well made, and it goes from like every single NASA mission. They did so crazy. They literally had to figure everything out, and they brought people who are like airline people. They don't know anything about trajectories or, you know, gravity, like in space. They didn't know like what's going to happen when you get out of the space shuttle in a spacesuit. They didn't first, some of those like spacewalks, they failed because like they couldn't do certain things in those things. And they have to find this guy who, you know, was a scuba diver who knew exactly like what needed to be done to the suit so they can operate. And like but everything happened within like 10-year increments. So that's that's still pretty fucking fast to figure out like, hey, how to go to the moon? Like, how does these things happen? Like, they were blowing up so many rockets at first, and this is like it's in the 60s.
Yeah, and
So
like,
can you imagine, like,
you can't test anything. It's like the way to test it is to send a rocket there, and like that's so to think about that and like how hard that is. You can't just be like, I'm just gonna try this thing over and over and over. It's like we got to spend $1 million to send, or however many millions to send a rocket there, hopefully get it right, and then learn a bit,
yeah.
and build another rocket and send it there again.
But you know, you go to Fleece, you know, you see something from like the 70s, you're like, damn, like, can you imagine at that time they were really like sending people to space and all that? Like, that's wild. That's so wild. Think about cars in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like,
see, I would be scared to go to space in the 70s. I tell you that.
Those dudes were crazy.
Those guys were nuts.
But,
they were putting their life on the line. We owe it to them.
But yeah, I definitely, if I get the opportunity to go, I'd definitely go. I just watched Total Recall yesterday.
Nice.
Iconic movie.
Yeah.
It's like, there's that one part when Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I need to go to Mars. I need to go to Mars. I was like, that's like what they're, you know, about to like start planning on.
I just picture, like, doesn't he get sucked into the zero gravity and then his face like explodes all crazy at one point?
Yeah, but he actually survives it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that's a great scene though. His face goes all crazy.
Totally.
Landlord's favorite movies.
Total Recall?
Yeah.
No shit. So what I want to end this on is, I always see you posting about the best burgers in town. Give us your reviews, man. There's probably a lot of people in LA that are going to listen to this. We want to know. Give me the top 3 burgers in LA.
Okay, I'm gonna start from where should I start? Okay. Okay, number 3 is I like Father's Office. It's like this little cutty spot, kind of like in, I think it's Palms or Culver City.
Okay.
It's like a they have like beer. They're kind of weird. They don't have any substitutions. You can't really like do any, like they have, it's a little bit of a weird burger, but it's really good. Just try it next time.
Because you can't do substitutes, or just the way
well, it's just like, I think they had some different stuff on the burger, and like, it's just, let's say you don't like their sauce.
Father's Office. I've been there. There's one in like Santa Monica, or like somewhere near there.
Yeah, that's kind of like Palms.
That's Palms.
That's like Culver City. Yeah,
I've been there, dude, and it's kind of like it's like the decor is like the 40s.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, I've been there.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good one. My number 2 is Everson Royce Bar. It's in downtown.
Okay.
Super good burger. I like it. It's a little salty for some people. They got good fries. They got an amazing chocolate chip cookie. So that's like, you know, the burger, fries, chocolate chip cookie. But the absolute best burger for me, and again, this is my personal, like your like taste palette could be completely different. Like this, you can argue about this, but
pick, man. We want Shafik.
My pick is Burgers Never Say Die.
Okay.
It's in Silver Lake, and it's like they like created the perfect imitation copy of the McDonald's burger on crack.
No way.
It's like a smash burger, but it's kind of like the most simple classic McDonald's burger, but it's smashed, and I don't know what they do to it, but it's fucking amazing. And their French fries taste exactly like McDonald's French fries, but better. They do soft serve. You got to do the French fries in the soft serve.
Oh yeah, baby.
But
that's me right now.
But that spot it's pretty crazy.
Okay,
it's really good.
When I get to travel again, I've been to your number 3 pick, so I'm going to top 2 picks for sure to eat a good old classic American hamburger. Can't wait to get back.
I'll join you.
Yes,
I'll join you.
Let's do it. So last thing on the show, Do you have a challenge for our listeners?
I think one really good thing is just kind of like do something every day that you hate. Something that you like just don't like to do. Do one thing every day. That way, whatever it's like doing the dishes or doing 10 push-ups or mop or whatever. Everybody has like their things that you just don't really, but at the end of the day, you know that's going to make you a better person. So whatever it's like making that little morning run or whatever you hate, just try to do one thing every day.
I love it, man. It's like people always say, do one thing that scares you, but do one thing you hate that gets you to be that better person, that gets you to the next level.
Yeah, and I feel like that can apply in like so many different fields, and like it also works in like work stuff. Because when you do that stuff for a minute, whatever that thing is, maybe you actually end up liking it. Who knows?
Exactly.
You get used to stuff.
It's the same principle. Yeah, you get used to it. You move on. You know it helps you, and that I push that a lot too. I always tell people you got to think like what is going to get you ahead to the next level. Because a lot of times people put off and they hate doing the things that they don't see instant rewards from. We're so used to instant rewards, you know.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I think that's like, you know, on an everyday basis, like you can accomplish so much shit. Just kind of going out of your comfort zone.
Do one thing every day that you hate. Shafik's challenge. All right, dude. Thank you again for coming on the show. Do you have any last words? You want to shout anybody out or?
Well, obviously I want to thank you for inviting me on your show. Love the Everything Frank fam. Shout out to Jesse and Landlord too. I love Vancouver, so I hope to come see you guys soon. Hope everybody stays safe.
Yeah, same to you, man. All right, we're going to end it there. Thanks again, Shafik.